To the Moody's, well, we didn't kind of split up. We used to have great parties in Moody Blues, you know, and we were friends with everybody in London at the time. Had just kind of come from out of town, most people, and you know, the 60s was like full of, you know, wannabe bands, and so London was the place to be. So anyway, we used to have these parties, and Mike and Ray from the Moody's had just come back from Germany, where they'd been out there, where the Beatles were out there. And of course, the Beatles were working, what, 5 sets a night or something. I'm sure you read all this on Wikipedia, but don't believe a word you believe on it. Because, yeah, you know. I'm here to tell you the truth as much as I can remember. They say, you ever want to write a book? I said, I would if I could remember it. Because if you were there, you can't remember it. So anyway, the Beatles used to be like, you know, friends of ours. And Mike Pin, actually the first time we met the Beatles, I was in a band called the Diplomats in Birmingham. Diplomats. We used to get into fights every night. I don't know. But what are you looking at my girlfriend for? You know, all that stuff. And we were up on the stage, away from all the fights, and just keep playing, just keep playing. So we had this thing where it was a revolving stage, and the Beatles were coming on after us. This was in Birmingham, our hometown. And I've got a name drop here because I can. Bev Bevan from ELO was in that band with me. When he saw Go Now go to the top of the charts, he was really upset about that. So he got ELO together, and there you go, that's what happened. So the Beatles come round, but unfortunately the wonderful, whatever you call them, the stage hands in those days, didn't pull the leads out, the cables, you call them. So as the thing came out, they flew out the back of the speakers on the side of the stage. We didn't have things like this. This is a luxury. You could never hear yourself, you see what I mean? You just play. And these things flew out, and all I can remember is John Lennon going, which you all had a good laugh at that until they plugged it in. But anyway, they plugged it in, you couldn't hear them anyway, because the girls were screaming so much. But anyway, that was our first encounter. And then we went down to London. Like I say, we got discovered. The M&B5 became now the Moody Blues. After a Miles Davis record, actually, the Moody Indigo. And so we go to London. We go to this big posh club, and it's full of entertainers, you know, the TV people and actors and whatever. And sitting around this big table is the Beatles. So, hey, we remembered them, you know. I remembered them from that dressing room in Birmingham where they weren't signing their autographs. So I'm sorry to tell you this, but a lot of them autographs you've got ain't from the Beatles. They had the roadies signing all the bloody autographs. There's piles of them. And I went to a Beatles thing once, and I knew the guy, Tony Bramwell. He came down with the Beatles, with Neil Aspinall and Mal Evans and all that. They all came from Liverpool with Brian Epstein to begin with. And he said, that people are bringing up all these albums to sign. He goes, that's one of mine. That's one of Mel's. That's one of Mel's. They didn't sign their own autographs. I'm sorry. It's true. So eBay hunters, eat your heart out. But, yeah, that's what it was like. So anyway, we're sitting around this big table, and the waiter comes across and goes, would you like a drink, sir? He was very posh in there. And John, being John, says, what you got? And of course he's winding the guy up, isn't he? And the guy goes, well, we've got whiskey. He made him list all the drinks. All the drinks. Don't like that. Don't like that. Don't like that. And he goes, what else? He goes, well, we've got soft drinks. We've got 7. We call it lemonade. You call it 7-Up. 7-Up. We've got Coke. We've got... He said, don't like any of them either. Give us a Scotch and Coke. So he invented Scotch and Coke, and that night, because ever since then, we all drank Scotch and Coke. And when I went up to see Paul in Scotland to join Wings, put that together, he was drinking Scotch and Coke. I said, nothing's changed then, Paul. So that was that little John Lennon thing. Well, again, we knew the Beatles really well, so we started having these parties. And of course, because they'd all come from Germany, they brought these little pill boxes with them. You could buy it over the counter, but it was speed, you know. And if you're doing 5 gigs a night, you're popping these pills all the time. So anyway, they bought some of them. We had a big plastic dustbin, or you know, and we filled it up with hard cider, you call it. We call it scrumpy. And 2 of them and you're out, you know. And then we had a bottle of everything in it. So that was, and a few apples and oranges floating around the top. You know, it was cool.
Jungle.
So people used to come in, have 1 glass of that, and it was like, hey! And we had everybody there. You know, I mean, friends that we'd met on Top of the Pops and TV shows like Tom Jones were, the Beatles, obviously, all sorts of people. Donovan was a big friend of ours. And John was on the door, the little thing you open. Who's there? Smokey Joe's Cafe. And he goes, he looks around, he goes, and he's asking me, is this guy all right? I go, yeah, you can come in. I'm standing there, and he's standing there, and he goes, there was this girl here. I didn't let her in. And Mike Pinder says, she came in through the bathroom window. You can't write this stuff. That's a true story. So that's how you write songs, you know. I'll tell you a little bit more about writing songs in a minute, and you'll never want to write a song again. No, actually, everybody can write a song because of this. So, anyway. So that was the story there. So anyway, we get this album called The Magnificent Moods, and Donovan did the sleeve notes for it, right? So he's sitting there and he's listening to all, writes the sleeve notes out. Then, after I kind of walked away, the Moodies were, I don't know, not wanting to work too much. We were sort of a bit disappointed that the album didn't do that well to start with. So I said, well, I'm just going to go and hang out with all the folkies in London, which I did, the underground thing. Pink Floyd were just getting off the ground, people like that. The Roundhouse was a big venue we used to do. So anyway, I bumped into Donovan again. And he took me around with all his friends. So I'm sitting there, like in this studio, and there's a group of people sitting around in a circle. And one of them was Paul Simon. So I thought, hey, what's he doing here? He must be important. No, a lot of American people came to England to be part of the scene. As we wanted to get to America, as kids, all we saw was TV, you know, Flash Gordon and let's go. Let's get to America. Lassie, Christ. So all that stuff was big to us, but the American bands wanted to come to England to, you know, be part of the scene. So I forgot what I was going to say now. So it was just like that. So Donovan introduced me to these people. And so I had this thing now with folk people, and I was meeting all these great people, one of which is a guy called Davy Graham. And Davy Graham had been to Morocco, you know, smoked dope and all that. Because we were Mitchells and Butlers drinkers, really. We weren't like into water. People think you're walking around with a bottle of Jack Daniels. You don't, you know, maybe at the odd occasion. But it's work being in a band, I'm telling you, it's a 24/7 job. So anyway, there we were, I was getting into the blues scene and then into the folk scene. So I was meeting all the great people. David Graham was a guy that I kind of admired, and, you know, took a few of his ideas and wrote this next song. And it's called Davy's Rag. Captured by a she did before we even met you. How can I get you to realize? Oh, baby, don't treat her well. It is unfair. I lost her, best girl I've had, and that's why I care. My advice to you is find a new direction for your attentions. But you don't need the boys to go out drinking. They'll get you thinking and even tell you lies. Oh, baby, don't let her go thinking that you lose her, and someday you won't her back. Oh, baby, don't you treat her bad. It isn't fair. I lost her, best girl I've had. That's why I Davy Graham, check him out, man. This is my set list, by the way. I keep losing it. I mean, the page, you know what I mean? You used to have them on the floor like big letters. I can't see them anymore. I'm only lying. It's not a comedy act, this, by the way, you know. I'm just like this. Okay, so the thing is, there I was in that studio, and I was auditioning a new band. I got Viv Prince from the Pretty Things, the drummer. He was more of a Keith Moon, you know, character. I'll tell you a big story about Keith Moon and David Bowie and John Bonham, who was a friend of mine. Well, we're looking at this, at the what you call it, that thing today I went to. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I was looking at all these suits and everything. The guy goes, "Oh, that was made by Moody." Well, Moody was the guy who made all the, you know, the outfits, the gear, the rhinestones, all that stuff like that. Well, I was in LA, and I bought one of those leather shirts, you know, the leather pants, that when they get baggy, which they do, you can tighten them up, you know, and they always look cool. And I made the mistake of walking into the Roxy in Sunset Strip. And who was standing at the bar but them four? Bowie, Bonham, Keith Moon, and Peter Lawford, funny enough. Who was Mr. Cool standing there like this. But anyway, I knew these guys. Moody and Bonham especially, I knew as complete nutcases because I used to hang out with them. I know what they were like. They took one look at me in this outfit and proceeded to rip it off me. Of course, they'd been doing something that they'd sniff up your nose, you know, you could tell. And they were like, yeah. And rip these clothes off me. I'm standing there like strands of leather hanging down. And then they dragged me into the bathroom. They all did a line of cock. I didn't know whether I did a line or not.
Right.
But anyway, you know, they were heavily into the cocaine thing in those days. And then they immediately tore the bathroom to pieces, left it all in a pile on the floor. Then they go out to the guy behind the bar and give him a few $100. There you go, thank you very much for letting us wreck your toilet. So that's what they used to do. And so anyway, John Bonham, mate of mine, I grew up with him. Because as a young kid, he used to come and see me in my band, The Diplomats, and he used to look at Bev Bevan on the drums, who had a light bulb in his drum. He'd say, wow, that's a great idea, because you can see the name of the band. He was only like a kid like that, and we didn't even know it was John Bonham, of course, in them days. He was just a fan. I knew later, he told me all about it. When he was in Zeppelin, you know, he used to stay at my house and everything. And I won't go into the story. But anyway, he stood there watching Bev. And this particular night, the light was flashing on and off in the light. He said, I used to love that. That was a great idea, having those lights flashing in your drum kit like that. Because nobody's doing it. I told him later, I said, that was a faulty electrical wire, John. We didn't mean it. There you go. So anyway, Johnny was a great mate. And unfortunately, he passed away with a song that I wrote that I couldn't remember. He was at my house, I woke up, and I could hear this guy singing a song down in the studio. And it was him. I went, what's that song? I know that song. He says, you wrote this. You used to do it in the Diplomat. I went, really? Well, of course he died, and I can't remember the song anyway. I'll do one little verse of a song that I wrote about Johnny. I won't do all of it, but I'll be here all night. Like old clothes, we just can't throw away what we had in life. Good, not the bad. Like a portrait of an old friend who has gone. Memories linger on. That's my mate John Bonham there. So anyway, name dropping. He actually played on one of the Wings songs, "Beware My Love."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was in LA for a while he was kind of he couldn't go back to England for some reason, tax reasons or whatever like that. So that's when I got my clothes ripped off me. But yeah, it was great for us. I mean, coming to LA, coming to all these places in America, it was like a huge education for us, because we basically took your music, changed it, and brought it back to you. It's true, right? Well, what happened was in the 60s, we listened to a show called Radio Luxembourg. It was like a principality, you know, almost like a Radio Caroline, which was like, you know, no laws here. You can play what you want. And they played all the American music, and we picked it up in England. And it was the American Forces Network in Germany that were receiving, you know, that music. So that's how we grew up listening to that stuff. And it was mixed in with, you know, a lot of our old, I don't know, folk songs or whatever it was. But generally, England wasn't, you know, we're old-fashioned until America came along and said, hey, what about this music? So we started listening and stealing, like you do, and then brought it back. So there you go, a little story. So I was writing this song, and I had a band, I called it the Electric Stream Band, eventually. And I wrote this song purely because I wanted to audition some musicians. Viv Prince got the job because he was a little bit like Keith Moon, like I say, you know, all over the place, great drummer. But I had 2 cellos and 2 violins, and they'd never put pickups on their instruments before. And these were like young soloists from the Royal Academy of Music. They were doing all sorts of, you know, concerts around the world, orchestral stuff. And so it was pretty hard to tie them down, but eventually, after about a year of doing this, going all over the place, I ended up opening for Jimi Hendrix with that band. And Jimmy come up to me in the club afterwards. He says, "Oh, that was great, man. That was really cool." Because he always wanted to do something different, but his management wouldn't let him. He was like, "I want to try this." "No, you got to go out and be Jimi Hendrix." So he loved anything, that was a little bit off the wall there. And he came up to me, he says, "Oh man, that was really great." Because we did go down really well. All the Beatles were in the audience, Peter Asher and all those guys. And they were like, it was great. It was Brian Epstein's, the Savile Theatre it was called. Brian Epstein owned it. We were now signed by Brian Epstein. So they stuck us on this bill. And Jimmy comes up and he goes, "Hey man, that was cool. I liked your guitar player." I said, "That was me." "Oh yeah, man." But anyway, I knew Noel and I knew Mitch, from his band before Jimmy came over. I knew all the people he came over with, Charles Chandler and all those people. We knew him from the clubs. So going around the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame today, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I know him.
Yeah.
He's dead. I know him. Rick Wakeman, he's a friend. All that stuff is just going through me now. It's really amazing, really. And they gave us some free clothes, so that was good. No, I only went there for the jacket. No, it's not. But anyway, it was really great. So this song that I'm going to do now was the song that I wrote for that audition. And I had a little bit of a minor underground hit with it. It was like a shuffle, one of them. And then John Paul Jones was the string arranger on the song. And him and Jimmy Page were on everybody's records in those days, because that's what they were session guys. And so John Paul Jones did the string arrangements. Well, a few years later, Colin Blunstone had a huge hit with this song, because, thank you Colin, but it was almost a friend, we did a lot of work with the Zombies, and Colin put it out as a single. But he took everything out except the strings, and he just did it with the strings, like he did it like that, but just strings. And it was a huge hit in England. So thank you, Colin. But that's the way it goes. So it's called Say You Don't Mind. I realize that I've been in your eyes a kind of fool. What I did, stupid fish, I drank the pool. I've been doing some dying, I'm doing some trying. So say you don't mind, let me off this time. When clean into a scene, when my dreams were getting bad, but who rides with the tide and who's glad what he has? I've been doing some whining, I'm doing some finding. So say you don't mind, let me off this time. Drummer. drops in the line. I'm living some growing. I've been scared of you going. So say you don't mind, you don't mind. Let me off this time. Let me off this time. Oh, shit.
Yeah.